New York City, a skyline the world recognizes instantly. Steel, glass, light. But beneath the glittering towers of today lie the ghosts of masterpieces that once defined this city. Buildings that were not just structures, they were symbols, they were dreams, they were statements carved into stone and sky. And they are gone. In 1910, if you arrived in New York by train, you did not step into a dark underground corridor. You entered a palace. The original Pennsylvania station was unlike anything America had ever seen. Massive steel arches stretched high above travelers. Sunlight poured through vast glass ceilings. Marble columns stood like Roman guardians. It felt less like transportation and more like arrival into greatness. For immigrants, it was their first glimpse of America. For soldiers, their last memory before war. For millions, it was the gateway to opportunity. But by the 1950s, railroads were struggling. Air travel was rising. Profit mattered more than beauty. In 1963, demolition began. New Yorkers watched as marble walls were shattered and columns fell in clouds of dust. A masterpiece was destroyed, not by disaster, but by decision. In its place rose Madison Square Garden. Below it, a low underground station. Functional, efficient, but the grandeur was gone, and something in the city changed forever. Before the Empire State Building defined the skyline, another tower held the title of tallest in the world, the Singer Building. Completed in 1908, slender and ornate, it rose like a crown above Lower Manhattan. It symbolized ambition. In 1968, it was demolished. Not because it was unsafe, not because it was damaged, because it was not profitable enough. The tallest building ever voluntarily destroyed disappeared from history. Fifth Avenue once looked nothing like it does today. Instead of glass towers, it was lined with palaces. The Vanderbilt mansions stretched across entire blocks. Grand staircases, ballrooms glowing with chandeliers, imported marble and European art. They were monuments to the Gilded Age. But land in Manhattan does not wait for nostalgia. One by one, the mansions fell, replaced by commercial towers, an entire era erased by economics. In 1893, the Waldorf Astoria opened as the center of high society. Presidents, royalty, industrial titans passed through its halls. In 1929, it too was demolished, to make way for something taller, the Empire State Building. To build one icon, another had to disappear. New York reinvents itself constantly, and reinvention is rarely gentle. After the destruction of Penn Station, developers turned their attention to Grand Central Terminal. Plans were drawn to build a skyscraper above it. Its beauty would be overshadowed, its identity compromised. But this time, the city fought back. Citizens protested, preservationists organized. In 1978, the Supreme Court ruled to protect it. Grand Central survived, because Penn Station did not. Sometimes loss is what teaches preservation. New York's industrial waterfront once stood like a forest of brick cathedrals. Warehouses and factories powered the city's rise. As industries moved away, many of these giants were abandoned. Some were reborn as lofts and galleries. Many were demolished quietly. No headlines, no ceremonies, just dust and silence. The Croton Reservoir once stood where Bryant Park now rests. Granite walls rose like a medieval fortress in the middle of Manhattan. Massive, unmistakable. When it became obsolete, it was torn down. Few remember it today. The pattern repeats. Economic pressure, Modernization, profit. New York builds upward, forward, relentlessly. But every new tower casts a shadow over what stood before. In 1965, the city created the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Its mission was simple: protect the irreplaceable. Without it, Grand Central might be gone. Countless historic buildings might exist only in photographs. Buildings are not just concrete and steel. They are memory, arrivals, departures, first jobs, last goodbyes. When a building disappears, a piece of shared experience disappears with it. That is why demolition feels personal, because architecture is the stage where life unfolds. Today's skyline is powerful. Glass towers reflect the sun. Super tall buildings pierce the clouds. It's a city that never stops evolving. But beneath that brilliance lies a question. What are we sacrificing today that future generations will mourn? Which building standing proudly now will one day exist only in images? If you stand beneath Madison Square Garden, you are standing where marble once soared above travelers. If you walk Fifth Avenue, you pass the ghosts of vanished mansions. If you admire the Empire State Building, remember what once stood in its place. New York is layered. It is not just what stands, it is also what has been lost. Reinvention built this city, but reinvention demands sacrifice. The demolished masterpieces of New York were chapters in a larger story of ambition, wealth, and relentless change. When they fell, those chapters ended, but their echoes remain, in photographs, in memory, in the quiet understanding that once something beautiful is gone, it cannot truly be rebuilt. Cities may forget, but history